Hello everyone, and my name is Catherine Manalo. I'm a student in the BSHRM ETF program for Philippine Women's University, and today's topic will be catering management and quantity food cookery. And I will be discussing my topic. So I will be just sitting around here in front of me as my notes, helping to guide all throughout discussing what's catering management and what are the things that we need to think about when we are catering for many people in terms of events like weddings, birthdays, meetings, and conferences. So there are different checklists that we need to undergo in terms of the tasks and responsibilities for the catering management. Number one, as a chef, you have to plan ahead, especially the menu, because in hotels and resorts, a meeting or a discussion has to take place with the manager, the general manager in charge for the event, and then there must be a plan on how to execute the event of the said function. So number one, when we're planning menu, the first step is actually to discuss it with the executive chef. So the executive chef will be discussing it together with the events manager and the general manager. So they will come up with a menu that is specifically catered to the client, whatever the preferences in terms of food and nutrition, the presentation, whatever type of protein or vegetables and starch that will be used in the said event. There will be a time when it will be a plated event, which is one of the fanciest and the hardest to execute because you will be plating depending on the amount of people who are coming. And there's also the second one, which is the buffet setup, wherein people will stand up out of their chairs and they will line up and get their food at the designated area. There is also one type of a setup wherein it's a platter, it's a family style. They call it a Chinese banquet, wherein a big platter of food is just laid out in front of the guests and they will just take whatever it is. So with these types of option and also the venue that is meant for the event, we have to come up with a type of setup that the guests will enjoy. And also, of course, number one is the budget. The budget will always be the first or the priority in terms of planning, because how can you execute a plan if the budget is limited? So first we have to determine the budget, and from there the menu, what type of setup it will be. Of course, the approved menu based on the client's decision, and then after that we will relay it to the kitchen. So the kitchen ahead of time will have to procure. So when we define procure, it's basically buying all of the supplies and the things that we need in order for us to execute the full event. For example, we will contact our suppliers and order the specific ingredients, especially those that are hard to get ahead of time. I would say, since for example if the event is going to be tomorrow, we will prepare 1 week ahead and try to order the ingredients and all of the goods that we need for the specific event, and then we will allow about 3 days for the preparation, because the day itself will be the actual cooking. So everything should be in place 3 days ahead of the event. So when it comes to the menu option, of course we will still have to check with the client's preference, whether what type of cuisine they are aiming for. Usually for us Filipinos, we are really in tune with the Filipino food. So most likely it is the popular option for many. But of course, there are a lot of international guests also who would like to have an international option, like for example, American, French, or Mediterranean. Also a little bit of Asian cuisine on the side. So when we're planning ahead, we will always take into consideration appetizer, which can be a salad or a soup, or sometimes both in other case. Sometimes we will also have 3 types of entree, so that will be some sort of chicken, beef, or pork, and some type of seafood depending on the availability of ingredients. And of course, there will always be a dessert, because that will be the ending to each of the meal. So depending on the type of service, we will also determine what type of food will be easier to serve to the guests. Of course, if it's going to be plated, and then you're going to cater for 1,000 people, we would go for something that's easier to plate versus something that would take a lot of time that you would normally get in a normal restaurant with a lower amount of people to serve. So those are the things that we also think about as a chef, and in planning a menu. And also, after everything has been planned on the day of the occasion, we always make sure that everything is in place ahead of time. So our cooks, our servers, our waiters, we will have a meeting and orient how the event will take place and have the proper communication relate to every individual, so that the function or the event will actually be a success. With the amount of time that you put into catering event, the amount of time after the event also should be given importance, because there will be a lot of cleaning up and organization after the event. So the team of chefs and the steward should also be hand in hand together in the housekeeping procedure after the said event. So in planning for a multifunctional use of rooms, there would also some consideration that the management should also include in their planning. And number one is the parking, of course, the accessibility of parking. Ushers should be available on the date of the event, wherein these people will be the guide to make everything organized as the guest comes in, and of course as the guest comes out of the venue. Also, there will be sound system involved, so this will also be the duty of the events manager to get the correct sound installation, and also the light works to be installed on the day or before the day of the event. Also, it is the duty of the events manager to actually set up the place according to the decoration that the client approved and also the general manager has approved, because of course there are certain limitations in terms of venue, and also the events manager will be the one communicating to everyone, making sure that the event is running smoothly as planned. Of course, the events manager, as we all know, is like the head of the event, basically communicating in every department, the marketing, the kitchen, of course the general manager, the client, whatever or whoever are involved in the said event. Also, it is the duty of the events manager to keep everything organized in terms of the communication between each employee, and that there won't be any chaos, there won't be any fight that will break out on the day event that will cause friction or stress on both parties. So making sure that everything, as I said, is running. And that's it for my video. Thank you so much for watching all the way here. I hope that you enjoy the catering management and how to actually prepare for an event. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.